Nintendo is a great company. Sometimes. They've created so many of our childhood favorites and continue to do so today. But while Nintendo will always hold a special place in our hearts, sometimes it's healthy to call out something or someone we love out on their BS nonsense. Nintendo doesn't exactly have the best track record with fan creations. For some reason, Nintendo loves to shut these things down without a second thought, never to be seen again. Kinda puts a sour taste in everyone's mouth when we see Nintendo do these kind of things, especially when other companies like Sega promote and show love to fan games. So today, let's go on a government-ordered takedown trip down memory lane and check out the fan projects that Nintendo themselves shut down. First game on the list is Pokenet, a Pokemon MMO released in August 2009. This is a game I never played during its release, because in 2009, I was a middle schooler still trying to figure out what puberty was and what was going on with my body. But yeah, Pokenet looks pretty sweet. From what I could tell, the game is a remake of sorts of Fire Red and Leaf Green. The project started out as just the two games with updated quality of life features, such as aggressive NPCs, an updated UI to fit playing with a mouse and keyboard, and of course, eventually adding a massive multiplayer player base, where you could chat, meet and battle Pokemon fans from all around the world. The game looked like a really awesome time, and I wish I could have experienced it back in the day. Looking at the footage really feels like traveling back in a time machine. Unregistered Hypercam 2 and all. Like many games, Pokenet was simply made out of love, wanting to build upon and improve a game many people already love and could now experience together. Very similar to Project M in that respect. Sadly, 2 years after its release, Nintendo shut it down, since the game looked too much like the actual Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and we can't have that! Nintendo said to themselves. Luckily, just a year after the shutdown, the crew behind Pokenet would come back in the form of Pokemonium. Although, after a quick Google search, I couldn't find any links to play the game. So, it's likely that this game was also shut down by Nintendo. Man, why can't I have nice things? Nintendo looked at Mario Maker and said, "Great, let's not do this with any of our other series." So, naturally, the fans would pick up the slack for Nintendo with Zelda Maker, which was quickly sent to DMCA shutdown. Thanks, Nintendo. Luckily though, this story has a happy ending, because the game was renamed to Runia. The character Link was replaced with some other little guy with a sword, and the project would live on, just not as the Zelda Maker the world was ready for. Any reference to Zelda would need to be removed, characters, enemies, music, the works. There's also another game out there called Legend Maker, a name that's a little easier to remember and serving the same purpose, creating your own Zelda dungeon. I wanted to give these two games a spotlight to show that just because Nintendo bullied some projects and trying not to have them exist, you can always find a way to work around it and shove it back in Nintendo's face. This is Fullscreen Mario, a web browser game released in 2013 where you can, play Mario in full screen. Sounds simple on paper, but actually had a crazy development process. The game was created by one Josh Goldberg, who at the time was a junior at the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, which I definitely mispronounced. To make a long and very technical story short, Josh himself opted to recreate the entire game from scratch to make this possible. Now, I have no idea how making a game works because I have zero talent in that field, but Josh just didn't rip the sprites, music, and whatnot from the ROM. He instead created everything from the ground up to make a full screen and fully functional Super Mario Bros. Yes, this game is made and programmed from the ground up. Seems like an insane task for one guy to do in his free time, but you gotta remember, Josh did go to the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, which I believe is impressive. There's so many technical difficulties that I'm not even gonna try and pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Just know that, pretty impressive stuff. The game would see a release in October 2013 to massive critical praise. only to then be shut down by Nintendo just 1 month later in November 2013. In that short time, however, the game was played 2.7 million times. The source code was eventually able to be downloaded in 2016, but would once again be taken down in 2016 by a DMCA from Nintendo. The last remnants of the game, gone forever. Another project that was more well-known was Super Mario 64 HD. Since then, there have been all kinds of Mario 64 fan games looking all modern and pretty, but back in 2015 when this trailer dropped, oh yeah, the internet was beyond excited. Only for Nintendo, of course, to shut it down. Probably because the idea of the fans making something more impressive than them more than likely soured their chocolate milk. Is that a saying? It is now. Now it's time to get kinda sad with some of Nintendo's more hated shutdowns. Another Metroid 2 remake, or AM2R for short. The game was, as the title says, a Metroid 2 remake, a game that in many people's eyes is the best game in the series. It was developed by one Molten Guasti from Argentina. AM2R was such a beautiful, enhanced version of the Game Boy Color game, meaning the game went from looking like this to this. Seeing a Game Boy game brought to life with full 16-bit sprites, color, music, etc. always fuels you with this sense of wonder. Like, even if you played the original version of the game hundreds of times, playing this new version feels like a whole new experience. Like you're able to play one of your favorite games for the first time all over again. Back in the day, I was so not knowledgeable of the Metroid series that when I played AM2R, I thought this was the official Nintendo game. It had that much polish. The game was released during Metroid's 30th anniversary, which makes it feel even more special, considering Nintendo did, well, nothing to celebrate. With these new and improved graphics and even new gameplay and design features, AM2R actually managed to get nominated for Best Fan Creation at the Game Awards in 2016. Thanks, Jeff Keighley. Of course, though, Nintendo would take the game down, and seemingly out of spite, would then release Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS, which, you guessed, is indeed another Metroid 2 remake. It's fine, but lacked a lot of features and design choices found in AM2R. You know, Nintendo, you could've just left this game alone and not rushed out your own version. And while we're on the topic of really impressive games, let's check out Pokemon Uranium. A Pokemon fan game that, for some reason, was singled out by Nintendo and received a shutdown. Like, there are hundreds of Pokemon fan games out there. Pokemon Sweet, Pokemon Sage, frickin' Moemon! Moemon is still out there for the world to see! I actually made a video a while back where I played some of Pokemon Uranium, and remember it being really fun. The game was made with the RPG Maker engine, and of course is unique from head to toe. The story I remember was pretty mature, talking about the character's parents being killed in a nuclear accident or something. The visuals and music also blew me away. Just listen to this soundtrack. Pokemon fan games are always some of the most interesting, because you need to build a whole new world with new NPCs, and most importantly, new Pokemon. It's crazy to see what fans can come up with when creating over 100 new Pokemon, all of which fit this new darker tone. The Pokemon give off radiation vibes, like a nuclear power plant was destroyed and caused these new mutated Pokemon to exist. It's kinda sad, yet intriguing in a weird way. The game was very much a nice change of pace for the traditional formula we kept seeing, and I think a darker tone could do Nintendo pretty well. The game was shut down, of course, but was so popular that you can easily find and download it today. So, sorry Nintendo, this is one you can't remove entirely. And that's what I love about fan games. Even though Nintendo tries to completely erase them from memory, they always find a way back. Ocarina of Time 2D, and I believe there was a demo for a Super Mario Bros. Super Show video game that everyone was hyped for. These were projects that caught everyone's eye, including Nintendo's, and shutting them down. But regardless, they would just come back under new names or from new people. I don't know why Nintendo is like this, but I guess it doesn't matter. Fans of these games, the dedicated fans who made these games, life finds a way for them to exist and go down in history. So let me know your favorite fan game that Nintendo shut down, or your favorite Nintendo fan game that still exists. I'd love to check them out. See you next time.